welcome to Pet Pals, the show that features the animals of Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. My name's Sean Snyder, and with me today is Hunter Clark. He's going to help us out handling the animals. And our first guest on the show is Shadow. Shadow is a 1-year-old Pit Bull Terrier mix, and you may recognize her. She was on the show a few weeks ago, and she actually arrived at the shelter with her sister, Raina. Like I said, she's about 1.5 years old. She was born on May 4th of 2016, and she's one of the compact-sized Pit Bull Terrier mixes. She weighs in at about 40 pounds, and when she first arrived, she wasn't spayed, and since that time, we have spayed her, so whoever chooses to adopt her won't have to worry about her after-surgery recovery or anything of that nature. We brought her up to date on her vaccines. We've microchipped her. And then we also provide adopters with a wellness visit at their vet. The veterinarians in Frederick County are gracious enough to offer adopters a wellness visit at their office, and it's just a good relationship for an adopter to build with their vet with their new pet. So Shadow came in with her sister Raina because their owner was having knee surgery. Now, she is an active young girl, so and the feeling is that the person's recovery from the knee surgery, they may not have been able to handle the two dogs together. We did decide that Raina and Shadow were not bonded, so we are adopting them out separately, which that is something we evaluate all the time when animals come in together. A little bit later in the show, we're going to see a set of two dogs that are bonded, and our goal is obviously to adopt them out together. So what Raina needs from an adopter, what Shadow needs from an adopter is someone that's willing to commit to her. She basically is a 1.5-year-old dog that has a lot of energy, so it would be beneficial for someone to be able to exercise her every night. It would be beneficial for her to have some training. And she will make someone a great dog with a little bit of work. It looks like her previous owner said that she is playful and energetic and friendly, and obviously she does get along with other dogs. Here at the shelter, when she's in her kennel, she can jump a lot and bark, but once you get her out, you can see from her actions here that she does settle down nice and she can play on her own. If you're interested in Shadow, you can stop by the shelter anytime we're open and ask to visit with her. Our next guest is Jack. Jack is a 1.5-year-old coonhound mix. He came to us as a stray, and he's been at the shelter since August 19th. He came in from the Middletown area. Now, what we've seen in Jack here at the shelter, we have noticed that he is a dog that will wander again. Here at the shelter, we have an outdoor play yard, and we have had some volunteers have a difficult time getting him back from the outdoor play yard. It's an off-leash area, and he can be a little bit stubborn, like hounds can be. We always encourage people, when you want to adopt an animal, research the animal. And with dogs, you should really research the breed. Hound dogs are known to be scent dogs, so they follow a scent and just wander. They can be known to be stubborn. They also some of them have a tendency to have that endearing baying, which some people do find endearing, but others find annoying. So, that is something, especially with dogs, you should really research what you're getting into, because what we want is for you to be successful with your new pet. And oftentimes we do see people that maybe didn't look into their new pet too much, and they're unexpectedly surprised with behaviors that were maybe characteristics of a breed. So Jack here, he's a playful young guy. He weighs in at 76 pounds. He's a fairly large dog, and he is still a bit skinny. At this time, he is still unneutered. Part of the process is he will be, but typically when a dog or a cat is spayed or neutered, it slows down their metabolism a little bit too. So he is going to get bigger. Likely not taller, but he will get somewhat bigger and put on more weight. So that's a consideration too. Are you looking for a dog this big? With all dogs on our adoption floor, we behavior assess them. So they go through a formal process or a test to be put on our adoption floor. And that test is part of their record here. And we want the public to look at that so they know what we know, especially with Jack, a stray that came to us with no other information. So the results of his behavior assessment were very favorable. He scored well. It did say he didn't walk so nicely on a leash, but that's something with some training you could fix. It said that he followed his dish, but he was not reactive when you tried to take it from him. The one thing we are recommending though, or I should say that we would prefer, is that he doesn't go to an apartment or a townhouse. And that is basically because of his size, and then also sometimes limitations people might have on exercise for a dog like Jack. It's really simple to visit with an animal at the shelter. You come in, you look at what we have in our cat room or our dog room, you come up front, ask if they have any applications, and then we'll take the animal out for you if they're not full on applications. Once again, this is Jack, a 1.5-year-old coonhound. Our next two guests are a bonded pair. Rocky is the bluish gray color, and Lexus is the brindle girl here. Lexus is about 7 years old, and Rocky is about 6 years old. So these two, this couple came in together, and we consider dogs bonded or cats bonded, and typically one of the tests we do is when we separate them, do they seem to be in emotional distress? What's their level? Do they groom each other for cats? So we look for things like that to ascertain if animals need to stay together. So this guy and girl, they came to us because their owner said that they didn't have room in their apartment for them, which, yes, that is sad, but at the same time, if they weren't getting what the owner thought the care that they needed or the activity, the right thing to do was turn them into us. We prefer people try and seek out other alternatives before coming to us. We always say we should be your last resort. So, you know, we want people to try and find other avenues for their pets before they bring them to the shelter. Now, the same token, we are the county shelter, and as a Frederick County resident, any person can turn a domesticated animal into us. So we provide excellent care here for the animals. But obviously, the best place for an animal to be typically is with their owner. That's the most familiar situation for them. That's what they're most comfortable with. So this guy and girl, they came into us pre-altered, so it'd be pretty easy turnaround for adoption. Since they're both over 5, they do each qualify for the senior discount, the first tier. So each dog would be adopted for $72.50. And then because you're adopting 2 of them, you get an additional $20 off your total fee. So truly their adoption fee is $62.50 each. As I mentioned, they're a little bit older, but you can see from their antics, they do not by any means act old. They are still very lively and will need someone that can give them exercise, take them out and play with them. These are not dogs that you can work a 8-hour day and commute an hour each way and then just expect to come home and sit on the couch with them. They will need a family that can give them proper exercise and veterinary care and a proper diet. So once again, Lexi is the brindle girl here. Rocky is the blue guy over there. They're looking for a home together. If you've been looking for 2 dogs or you have it in your heart to adopt 2 dogs, come and check these 2 out. Tyson is our next guest. He is a 8 to 9-year-old boxer mix, and as you can see, he's brindle and white. And he arrived at the shelter on August 23rd from the Wellington Trace neighborhood. Every day we take in cats, dogs, other animals that arrive to our shelter as strays. We are the only shelter in Frederick County, so as a citizen of the county, we encourage you, if you lose a pet, that you come look for them here, and if they're not at the shelter at the time you look, you can file a lost report with us. The other thing that viewers can help us with, if you know of a friend or a family member or a coworker that loses their dog, cat, other animal, encourage them to come and visit us. Wellington Trace is not that far from the shelter, and it's perplexing to people that work here why people don't come and pick up their animals. Obviously, Tyson was a loved pet at some point, and maybe still is. He came in, he's in good condition, he's very social, so he lived his life with a family. Now, we're aging him at 8 to 9, and how we do that is by an animal's teeth. So that is not an exact science. Obviously, a dog that chews on rocks, their teeth are going to be more worn down. A dog that maybe eats a diet that is more canned food rather than wet food, they may have excess tartar buildup. Now, one of the things in Tyson's behavior assessment he is actually doing right now to Hunter, it says he does have a tendency to jump up, but he gives kisses. So when he jumps up, he's not overbearing, he's actually trying to be affectionate. But because of that behavior and his size, we're actually recommending that he goes to a home with older children. Everybody has a different tolerance level of what they'll allow their dog or their pet to do to their toddler or infants. So, and we have had animals turned in because the large dog knocks down the toddler the toddler. We've had dogs turned in because the dog nips at the toddler's heels, and that's a herding breed characteristic. So, you know, like I said before with a dog that appeared earlier on the show, we want to set you up for success. Sometimes people don't understand that. And, you know, just because we're saying older children home recommended, it doesn't mean that if you have a younger child, we wouldn't entertain your application. Every parent's different, every child's different, and those are all things that we take into consideration to hopefully make a successful match for our animals here and the person adopting. So once again, this is Tyson. He is a 8 to 9-year-old boxer mix that was found as a stray in the Wellington Trace neighborhood on August 23rd. Our last dog guest is Sugar. Sugar is a 3-year-old spayed female pit bull terrier mix. Sugar also arrived at the shelter as a stray, and she came to the shelter on August 13th from the Deerbought area neighborhood. Since Sugar's been with us, we have discovered a few things about her, and they mostly revolve around her health. The first thing which you may be able to notice is she has sutures on her back. She had a tumor on her back that we had removed, and we did have it tested, and it was benign. So that was very positive, obviously, for Sugar. The other thing, when she was being spayed, the shelter actually spayed her. She arrived unspayed. We had that done at a local veterinary hospital, and what they found was that she has severe arthritis in her right hip. It's probably degenerative, and she is going to require some very expensive surgery. So what the shelter has done is we work with a group that is called FOCUS. It stands for Frederick Friends of Our County Animal Shelter. And what they are, they're basically a nonprofit organization that supports our shelter and homeless animals throughout Frederick County Animal Control. So they are actually actively trying to seek funds to support Sugar's surgery and then her aftercare. It is very difficult for animals to have extensive surgery and then have to come back and recover at the shelter. So what we need for Sugar, we need a committed adopter who is willing to obviously have the surgery and then follow through with the recovery plan. Or if Sugar heard someone come through there, or we are looking for a rescue that could maybe take on Sugar and then obviously see through that she gets the surgery that she needs. What we've seen of Sugar since she's been here at the shelter, she's friendly with people. She has participated in a few of our dog play groups, and she has done well with them. So she's a 3-year-old dog that has a lot of life in her. She just needs to find that special person or persons to take care of her and make sure she gets what she needs. So that's a look at 5 dogs we have for adoption here at the shelter. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at 5 cats or kittens that may be your new best friend.
Transit services of Frederick County. With rising gas prices, transit is a less expensive way to work or school. Most commuter bus routes run every 30 minutes during weekday morning and afternoon rush hours. Bus stops are within a quarter mile of most businesses in downtown Frederick. Transit offers shuttles to Thurmont, Emmitsburg, Brunswick, Jefferson, Spring Ridge, and Route 85, or take a shuttle to the MARC train for an easy commute. Find out what nearly 1 million passengers already know. Transit connects people and places.
Welcome back. Our first cat guest of the show is one named Little One. Now, I should say Little One's a slight misnomer. She is a larger cat. She weighs in at 12.5 pounds, and she is 7 years old. Little One came to us because her owner moved away and left her behind. And it appears someone had been feeding her since May. Now, what they didn't say was if they were feeding her outside or if they had taken her in and were feeding her at their house, but basically the person kept her for a period of time and then turned her in because her owner didn't come back. Now, our shelter obviously doesn't advocate abandoning animals. I am happy someone did take care of her during that time, especially if she was solely an indoor cat. Cats that live their whole life inside cannot fend for themselves outside properly. They just haven't done it. Instinctually, there are some things that they could probably live for a period of time, but just cats lose that the longer they're inside. So this little girl, what the person who was caring for her told us about her, they said that she was calm, she's easily handled. At the same time, she can be independent, and that she's friendly. And that's most older cats, that they are friendly, but they are also independent, meaning one night they may love to sit on your lap, the next night they may want to go sit on a windowsill somewhere as opposed to sitting on your lap. The person who was caring for her did tell us that she is deathly afraid of dogs. So she would not do well in a home, according to this person that had a dog, probably of any size. They didn't indicate if she lived with other cats. We typically have a process here when we introduce cats together that we just do it very slowly. And most cats can adapt to another cat. It's just you have to take it a bit slow. You cannot throw them together and assume you're going to have a successful relationship. It looks like we brought her up to date on vaccines because we have no idea whether she had vaccines or not. And it looks like she came in and she was already spayed. So her adoption is $77.50 because she is a little bit older, and the adoption process would be a quick turnaround for her. Once again, her name is Little One. Her intake number is 180922, and she's been with us since September 14th. Our next little girl is Kel. Kel is a 4-month-old domestic short-hair tortie with white. Now, she's a really dark tortie, but that coloring of cat is always a female cat. It's usually the mix of the 3 colors of white, brown, and black. And calicos, the Maryland State cat, are patches of those 3 colors, where tortoise shells are more blended of those 3 colors. So this little girl came in with her sibling, and basically they were cats that were just on a piece of property that no one wanted them there. So part of what animal control officers do, they go out and they take in animals that are considered strays, like that's how we would have considered Kel, and they bring them back to the shelter. When cats arrive that are younger, like her, they typically go into a foster home and they're cared for till they're old enough to be adopted, and then they come back to the shelter for adoption. So, you know, our foster program, the animals benefit greatly from socialization. You can really tell the kittens that come in that are able to go straight to the adoption floor, that have had less socialization, versus the ones that have lived in a home for a period of time and have been handled by family members of all ages. There's dogs in the house, there's other cats, and you can tell. They all need homes, and obviously kittens are somewhat adaptable to environments. So someone who adopts a kitten that necessarily didn't live in a foster home isn't getting a kitten that's not as friendly. It just may take a little more time for them to become more social or more accustomed to things that are going on in your house. So one thing our shelter has right now is a grant that allows Frederick County residents to have their cats spayed or neutered at no cost. This is the second time we've received this grant, and the first time we targeted 6 zip codes. The second time, the zip codes that we are targeting are 21757, 21773, 21788, 21793, and 21798. If you live in one of those 6 zip codes and you have a cat that needs to be spayed or neutered, all you have to do is fill out an application and we will have that done. Basically how it works is we give you a voucher to turn into a local veterinarian that the vet will spay or neuter the animal at no cost, and they will give it a rabies vaccination if it needs one. So if you're looking for a kitten, this is a good time to come to the shelter and visit. Or maybe Kel struck your fancy and you can come in and visit her here at the shelter. Our next guest is Margarita, who we have named because she came to us as a stray cat. She is 1 to 2 years old and her color is Torby. And earlier when Anita came in and brought Margarita to us, I questioned her coloring, that she was more of tabby, but if you look closely, she does have some orange on her, which makes her the Torby color. Now, Margarita came with 2 of her kittens, and they are currently on the adoption floor, and we'll see one of them here in a moment. And when she came in, her kittens were underage, and she is another cat that benefited from our foster program. So, you know, it was great that we were able to put her in a loving home with her kittens. She could raise them, and now her kittens are about 10 to 11 weeks old, and they're ready for adoption, and then all 3 are here for adoption. Margarita has been separated from her kittens. And what a lot of people don't realize, or maybe they don't think about, a lot of times the mother cats are the forgotten group this time of year. These are the cats that, because we have so many younger kittens, people tend to gravitate toward them, and a lot of times people miss the adult cats in general, and then it's not that she's a mother, it's more that she is an adult, but we'll find that kittens get adopted really fast, and sadly the moms stay behind. So, you know, cat of any age can be a great companion to you. The one thing about older cats, what you see is what you're going to get. So a cat that's going to sit on your lap here at the shelter is probably guaranteed to be a lap cat in your home. So Margarita, she will be spayed. She hasn't been spayed yet. It looks like we brought her up to date on her vaccine. She did suffer a cold at some point while she was here at the shelter, so we treated her for that cold, and her cold has been resolved, and she's back on our adoption floor. Cats getting a cold here at the shelter is not uncommon. That is something a lot of cats get. The benefit of her having a cold while she's been here, she's less likely to get it when she goes to your house or to her new home. So she will have somewhat of a built-up immunity to it. In Hunter's lap, you can see that she is totally comfortable. She enjoys being pet. She enjoys being rubbed. She is a petite cat. She only weighs 6.5 pounds. So if you're looking for a little girl that will likely stay small for her entire life, Margarita might be the right choice for you. She's here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Our next guest is Cosmo. He is the kitten of Margarita, our last guest on the show, and he also has a brother named Mojito. So you can see a theme with their names, and one of the benefits of being a foster care provider is you do get to name the animals that you foster. So, and a lot of times foster families come up with whimsical names, and it just adds a little fun. And most foster families know that the name of the animal will likely be changed by the new adopter, and they are completely understanding of that. So Cosmo, being a little kitten, he is about 10 weeks old now, 10 to 11 weeks. Here at our shelter, we adopt kittens out that young, and what we look for is a weight to be able to spay or neuter them. So kittens at this time have to weigh 2.5 pounds for them to be spayed or neutered at our shelter. So when you take Cosmo home, he will be altered, and that'll be something that you won't have to worry about in the future. An adoption fee for a kitten here at Frederick County Animal Control Pet Adoption Center is $97.50. It does include, like I said, neutering him, microchipping him, vaccinations that cats need, a vet visit at your vet, and then a Frederick County cat license. A lot of people don't realize that cats are to have a license just like a dog in Frederick County. Basically, it is a way for our animal control officers to return animals to people in the field. Now, microchips can help with that too, but obviously a license and a rabies tag is a visual identification if your cat is outside or if it slips out the door. Our shelter encourages people to keep their cats inside. It is the safest place for them. And then also, basically, we want cats to be in that environment where they can't get attacked by other animals or encounter vehicles or wild animals, so on and so forth. So little Cosmo as a kitten, you know, he's pretty adaptable, go with the flow. He could probably adapt to a house with another cat or a dog. I did have him at an event the other night, and he was a bit reactive to dogs, but at the same time, over time, he could become used to a dog that was not rough with him or didn't chase him too much. Typically, the relationship with cats and dogs is the cat swats the dog one time in the nose, that sets the precedent, the dog understands, and they can live harmoniously together. So once again, his name's Cosmo. He is with his brother Mojito here. They are not a package deal. We realize that kittens are separated all the time. And at this time, we have several kittens, and Cosmo is just one on our adoption floor. Our last cat guest is a little girl named Dixie. Now, Dixie is 1 to 2 years old, but she only weighs 5 pounds, 11 ounces. So she is a petite cat, and if you're looking for that adult cat that is always going to be small in stature, more of the eternal kitten, Dixie might be a great companion for you. When she arrived at the shelter, she was nursing 3 kittens. So she has been gaining weight because she is no longer nursing those kittens. And those kittens are currently on our adoption floor, and some of them may have been adopted already. So we actually spayed Dixie already, so that's been taken care of. And she came to us as a stray. She was trapped on a property, and so she came in with no name, and we gave her, obviously, that name Dixie. I wanted to talk a little bit about stray cats coming into our shelter. You know, we had several stray animals in general on the show today. For cats, last year we took in over 1,000 stray cats, and approximately 100 of those cats were returned to their owners. So you can see under 10% of cats were returned to their owners that came to us as strays. Now, cats do have that they're loosely owned, that people don't claim them really, but they feed them. Like I said earlier in the show, I encourage people to come look for your pet. And then at the same time, if you're loosely owning animals, cats in general, please consider having them spayed or neutered. And earlier in the show, once again, I mentioned the no-cost spay-neuter program that we have right now. It just helps slow down that intake of animals that we have coming into the shelter every day. So once again, her name is Dixie. She seems to be enjoying sitting on Hunter's lap. She's curious about what's going on in the room, but at the same time, she is a girl that will make someone a great pet. She's 1 to 2 years old. She's been spayed, and she's here with us at the shelter. So that's going to wrap it up for this show. I do want to remind some folks about our upcoming rabies clinic. That clinic will be held on Sunday, October 1st. It is from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. It is a good time to get your pet rabies vaccinated, your Frederick County license, and then also we will microchip your pet. There is no appointment necessary. You just walk up. We do ask that your dog is on a leash or your cat is in a carrier. So once again, that's Sunday, October 1st from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. here at the shelter. Thanks for watching today's show, and we'll see you again next week.